40 plus years is a lifetime and a working career, and GSLA CEO Joe Hernandez retired at the weekend. I caught up with Joe and asked him about his time at the helm of local sports.
Way back as a government civil servant in 1971, at the Victoria Stadium in 1975. So that's 39 years ago.
Very, very long time ago. Lots of things have changed. Tell us about how the sports and leisure facilities were back then in 75.
When I joined, the big stand at the Victoria Stadium was still not open to the public. The smaller sports, or the old sports, was not open to the public. And we had the Nortex pitches, a football pitch and a hockey pitch. But those were very limited use because they required a lot of maintenance. So it's gone a long way since then.
You say a long way. We've had the Tercentenary Hall, all the new facilities. You've seen plenty of change over time. Excited by what you did see?
Very excited. You know, the first thing we did many years ago is open school facilities for community use. That alleviated a lot of the lack of facilities we had. Bayside School, Westside School, they had some sports facilities that weren't available to the general public. Then came synthetic turf with the first OmniTurf Sandfield pitch, which was dual use for hockey and football. And since then, we added pitch number 2, and then to Centenary Hall, the hockey pitches, and you know, you've seen it all now. I think we can boast, for the size of Gibraltar, probably the best facilities in the region.
Well, that always comes about when the straight games come, and you were synonymous with that. When the straight games actually started, you've seen them all to fruition.
Yes, I've been involved with the straight games for 20 years. You know, the first 2 years were preparatory work for the first ones in Algeciras, and since then, every single edition. Yes, we can host those games probably easier than other cities involved in the games because we've got the facilities.
From small acorns grow great oak trees. You've had just the Victoria Stadium and the stadium complex, and that has grown, but it now encompasses so many other facets of Gibraltar sporting arenas, the ice rink, the King's Bastion Leisure Centre, all the sports halls that the schools have. It must be a headache, must have been a headache.
Well, surprisingly enough, sometimes it's easier to deal with a lot of facilities than with a lack of facilities, because it's easier to tell somebody, yes, you can have a booking at 5 o'clock, than to convince 20 people that they cannot have the booking at 5 o'clock. So, you know, it's more management stuff and coordination, but it's a much more pleasurable work, we put it that way, to be able to please people as much as possible, rather than have to be telling people, look, I'm sorry, we don't have the facilities to cope.
With the growing facilities, the growing number of personnel, when you started, there can't have been many of you. Now there is a whole army of people looking after the sporting facilities.
Yes, we started with, I think we were at 18 staff. You know, I remember doing a budget for the Victoria Stadium, which was what it was called before, and then the sports department, and it was one full scope in size. Now it's practically a book. We've got 50-odd staff plus contracted companies for cleaning, security and maintenance. So, yeah, it's all changed, but the staffing structure is now available to be able to cope with that.
You've got a wonderful sports and leisure facilities in Gibraltar, and the leisure facilities do come into play. I mean, for instance, at the moment, the stadium is basically shut down because of the music festival. Was that ever a headache?
Yes, you know, it's basically we are sports, but we got leisure added to our title, so we had to deal with both. It's a balancing act, trying to keep sports and non-sports events sort of balanced. And there's also a balancing act between the major sports and the minor sports. You know, the minor sports also need to have a slice of the cake. So it's always balancing the use of the facilities available, the time available. But, you know, most of the sports cooperate with each other. So when somebody's got a big event and they need to use other people's allocations, they cooperate, and then they do likewise when the other sports need the allocations. We found that the sports do cooperate with each other, they help each other out, and that makes our life easier.
Lots of highs and lows during the course of your tenure. What's been some of the personal highlights for you?
The Island Games, as far as events go, the Island Games, the Straits Games and the 100k World Championship, those probably are the major sports events I've been dealing with. And the other highs is the building of the new facilities. You know, it was a massive enterprise, it was a lot of money, coordinating a number of contractors, architects, engineers, and the like, and all the design work. That was a major highlight, and you know, the fruits are there to be seen. We've got maybe something in the region of 17,000 user units a week. Users, that doesn't include parents and spectators and people like that. So that for me is the major highlight, getting people to use the facilities.
And in '95, as you rightly said there, the Island Games, how big a job was that to get that up and running and to give what people are still calling the best games that have happened so far?
That was massive. You know, it took about 3 months months before that, but the last 3 months was mayhem. Getting 2,000 athletes here for 20 odd different events over 10 days, accommodation, facilities, equipment. I remember just 1 month before the event, we had no shooting facilities available. We had to go out, drive around Gibraltar, find a place where we could put the pistol shooting because the original site was declined. It was massive, but the adrenaline, you know, it just drives you through. And when the event happened, and we saw that Victoria Stadium full to capacity for the closing football game and the closing ceremony, it was brilliant.
We go back to personnel. Sports Development Unit has come in during your time in the Sports and Leisure, and they've got their summer sports programme which has just finished. Impressed at how that's grown?
Yes, that was fantastic. We did a sports development seminar before we actually opened a sports development department within the GSLA, and we had somebody from sports coach from UK come over, and we were told, look, you can do a sports development program. Government agreed. We got Michelle Smallwood, then Turner now, as a sports development officer, and you know the response we've had to that summer program, and we now do midterm programs as well. It's fantastic, and thanks to a lot of the sports associations and non-sports associations, because now the program includes things like storytelling, heritage walks, you know, arts and crafts in the beach, Alameda Gardens, and you know the program is now a holistic program for children to have something to do throughout the summer.
So now, if we look at your own personal sporting career, basketball is your perchance. You're going to be looking forward to continuing that, and what are the highlights been of that for you?
Well, first becoming an international basketball referee was the main highlight. I did 15 years of that, over 100 international games, and did some pretty good games as well. A few finals. We did the final of the Commonwealth Basketball Championships many moons ago. And then I became a referees instructor, initially only locally because FIBA only used local referees instructors, and I'm now an international referee instructor. I go to international tournaments as an instructor. I'm also a commissioner for the International Basketball Federation. So, you know, that will keep me going for years to come. I won't drop that. I was also a volleyball player, and I played for many years until the seasons changed and it clashed with basketball. And, you know, many people may be surprised to hear that. I played in the GFA second division as a goalkeeper for one whole season, so many moons ago. I was 15 or 16 at the time.
During the tenure of your job, lots of travelling. What have been the highlights of your travels abroad for Gibraltar?
I think two in particular. The Special Olympics World Games in North Carolina was a fantastic event, and those in Dublin. Unfortunately, those were, you know, dampened by the fact that my great friend Douglas Hendrich died there during the games after maybe fulfilling his lifelong ambition of meeting Nelson Mandela. So that's, you know, he went on a high. And the Commonwealth Games, Manchester, Melbourne and New Delhi. Those are fantastic experiences. I recommend it to everybody that if they can make a Commonwealth Games, you know, they're probably even more enjoyable than an Olympics because the atmosphere is different.
What are you going to be doing finally with your time off now, not having to do the daily grind that you have been doing for 40 plus years?
Well, initially I'm going to take a little bit of a break. You know, I think I owe it to myself and to my family in particular to take a bit of a break. The job has been very time consuming. And then I will be doing things, you know. My love is event management, so I will probably be involved with some events. You know, just watch this space and Joe Hernandez will pop up.
That's all for this week's programme from the Sport team. Thanks for watching and bye for now.